That's right, bring it on. Coming to you live from New York City. You're watching Astrology, Numerology Now, right now, for Monday, June 23rd, 2014. I'm your host, professional astrologer, numerologist, Z Starman, where every week at this time for the last 5 years, we've been bringing you real astrology and real numerology in real time. If you want to talk astrology and numerology with me, give me a call, 212-757-1393. And tonight is Ladies' Night. It's Ladies' Night tonight, so only female callers, please call into the show. It's Ladies' Night, and it's June 23rd, 2014, and we're going to run down the latest astrology news and information right now. So if you don't know anything about astrology or numerology, thank you for not watching Wheel of Fortune or your evening news, and just stay around for a minute. Just stay around for a minute and learn something about the world of astrology and numerology. Now, for all the seasoned astrologers out there and numerologists out there, we have a lot to talk about on tonight's broadcast. Now, the first order of business is that this past Saturday, the spring equinox, the summer solstice. The summer solstice started this past Saturday at 6:51 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're watching the show on the West Coast, it started at 3:51 a.m. Pacific Time. And if you're watching, and I do have friends who are watching this show around the world, televised live from New York City, spring or summer started at 11:51 a.m. this past Saturday. What is the summer solstice? The summer solstice means, it's Latin for sun standing still. And it's one of the longest days of the years. And it's the beginning of the sign Cancer. So I want to say happy solar return, happy birthday to all the Cancer people or Cancerian people who are currently watching the show right now. If you're a Cancer, if you know somebody who's a Cancer, happy birthday. This is the beginning of the summer solstice, the longest days of the year, or the days are longer. They average about 16 hours or 16 and a half hours. That's how much daylight that we see now. So happy birthday to all the Cancers. But if you're not a Cancer, stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about. Currently, right now, that's going on in the heavens, that's been going on since June 7th, is Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury will be going direct. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Mercury will be going direct on July 1st. That's a week from this Tuesday. Mercury goes direct. Its backward retrograde will be ending, and God knows, I know a lot of you have had problems in this Mercury retrograde. The Mercury retrograde started off in the sign of Cancer, and currently Mercury is in the sign of Gemini. I can't tell you enough about the thousands of computers and cell phones and lost objects, electronic objects that have happened over the last almost 3 weeks with this Mercury retrograde. And I'm pretty sure this is one Mercury retrograde that we'll all be happy that goes away. So Mercury goes direct on July 1st, and especially people who are watching the show on the BCAT channel in Brooklyn, New York, it's July 1st. So Mercury goes direct today. But that doesn't mean that we're out of the shadow or we're not out of the woods, because we have to wait for Mercury to get out of the shadow of its retrograde. And Mercury comes out of the shadow of its retrograde on July 15th. What does that mean, come out the shadow of the retrograde? Meaning it has to get back, or Mercury has to get back to the place where the Mercury retrograde began. So we can put that up on the screen again, control room. Mercury comes out of the shadow of its retrograde on July 15th. Again, that means that Mercury has to get back to the place where the retrograde began on July 7th, which is for you seasoned astrologers at 3 degrees of Cancer. So we have to wait for Mercury to get back to 3 degrees Cancer, and at that time, Mercury will be at full strength. But it goes retrograde on July 1st, and it will be back to the place where the retrograde began, or out of the shadow of its retrograde on July 15th. Now, some other astrological news is about the planet Venus. Guess where Venus is right now? Today, Venus entered the sign of Gemini. So all you Gemini people, Geminis or sun sign Geminis, or if you got the moon in Gemini or Gemini rising, Venus is now in the sign of Gemini until July 18th. Venus is getting up. Earlier this year, it was retrograde, so it just went through Aries, Taurus. Now it's in Gemini, and it will be in Cancer on July 18th. So what does this mean for Gemini people like myself? Or if you have Gemini rising sign in your chart? A lot of love, a lot of money, a lot of financial opportunities. Especially it favors writers. So if you're a writer, you got a script or a screenplay, or you're doing some poetry, make that happen. But it's going to be some stressful times for the other mutable signs, so to speak. And those mutable signs to the right of Gemini is Virgo, and to the left of Gemini is Pisces. But this is going to make a Venus opposition to anybody who's passed planets in the sign of Sagittarius. But for the air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, this should be a good 3 weeks. In combination with Mercury going direct, it's really time to start to make things happen, especially if you know any Geminis. You got Gemini rising, moon in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini. We just have to wait for this shift of planets to move out of the way. And I'm looking forward to Venus in Gemini lasting from June 23rd today to July 18th, 2014. And last but not least, since this is probably the last show we'll do for the month of June, July 2014. July 2014 is a number 5 universal month. It's a 5 universal month. So July is the 7th month of the year. If we add 7 on to 2014, we get the number 14. And the laws of numerology, for you seasoned numerologists out there, say you have to reduce the 14 to a single number, and 1 plus 4 equals 5. So what is the value of a 5? 5 rules the sign of Gemini and Virgo, and it should be a great month, July of 2014, for Geminis, for Virgos. Venus will be in the sign of Gemini. Mercury will have gone direct during that time. And also, 5 is about changes. So now is the time to start to make major changes, sudden changes. A lot of Gemini people, a lot of air sign people, Libra and Aquarius, can experience a little bit of financial windfalls coming up in the next couple of weeks. One thing we have to be aware of, and it's not in our lower thirds or on the screen, is we have a Mars-Uranus opposition on Wednesday. So try not to be stressful, try not to stress anybody out, try not to fight, try not to argue with this Mars in Aries, or excuse me, Mars in Libra opposing Uranus in the sign of Aries. So these are the things that are happening in the next couple of weeks from an astrology point of view and a numerology point of view. Now, we're about ready to take the phone calls. Now, as you can see, if you're a regular viewer of the show, we don't have our computer here tonight. Our computer is sort of kind of on Mercury retrograde download, or it's being serviced right now. So what I'm going to do tonight, and I want you to call the show, I am doing intuitive readings. Caller, you're on Astrology Numerology with Z Starman live from New York City.
Hi, Z Starman. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, this is Holly. I guess, I don't know if you remember me, but since it's all women's night, that's the only reason why I called again.
Okay, you're A.
Okay.
Welcome to the show. What's your name, Polly?
Holly.
Holly. Hey, Holly, how you doing? Of course
good.
I remember
How are you?
How's your mom?
She's good, thank you.
Good.
She's doing well, thank you.
I know she came down to the studio back in January when we had the great Lloyd Strayhorn on the show.
Exactly.
How can I help you tonight, Holly?
Okay, I'm just curious about, I'm trying to secure full-time employment, and I'm having a really hard time. Everybody I know is having a hard time, but especially me, I'm having a very, very hard time.
Aren't you a Virgo?
Right now.
Aren't you a Virgo?
No, I'm Aries Sun, Moon Scorpio, and Ascendant Virgo.
Okay, that's the part I'm picking up, your Virgo rising. Okay, let me see. Sun in Aries, Moon in, where's the moon?
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Beautiful but deadly. That's what I remember about you.
Yeah.
With that Aries action and the Scorpio moon, I mean, like when you go after something, you really go after it, and you got Virgo rising. Now, the thing with you is that your ruling planet, again, Mercury, is retrograde right now. So once Mercury sort of kind of gets out of the way, and Mercury is in your 10th house right now. Mercury is at the top of the chart. You got Virgo rising, so an astrologer, picture Mercury being at the top of your chart right now. And it's in the 10th house. And the 10th house, from an astrology point of view, rules your career. It rules your public standing. People are saying, oh, wow, she ain't working, what's up, and blah, 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 and when are you going to get a job, and all this kind of stuff. But you have to wait for the transit of Mercury. It's in your career house. So do not be afraid to keep continuously sending out resumes.
Okay.
No, something will come through once Mercury goes direct on July 1st. Everybody who's listening to me within the sound of my voice across America, across New York City, you have to know where the planets are in your astrology chart. Now, Mercury, again, while you're having sort of kind of emotional problems also, because you're beating yourself up too much, and two, Saturn, as we speak, is in the sign of Scorpio.
Right.
So Saturn's in Scorpio, and Saturn, as you know, Holly, is that planet with the rings around it, and Saturn is about discipline and sort of kind of limitations. It is asking you to make executive decisions that you may not really want to make. But in answer to your question, the job situation, again, Mercury is in your 10th house, in your career house. So it may be asking you to look for employment that's outside of what you're normally used to doing.
Right.
And explore your possibilities. See, transiting Uranus is in the sign of Aries as we speak. So you've been going through a lot of ups and downs, you know, facing yourself and saying, hey, should I go back to McDonald's, or should I really work for myself? And that's the thing that you should do, is work for yourself. I'm not saying you work at McDonald's. We know you don't work at McDonald's, but sometimes you want to, you know, you have to pay the bills for that minimum wage job, or do you really take a firm stand and say, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I know these retrogrades are going on right now. You're just coming up the Mars retrograde, which is the ruler of the sign of Aries. But keep fighting. Keep hanging in there. Wait till Saturn goes direct also in July. Saturn is in the sign of Scorpio. Your moon sign is in Scorpio, and Saturn's been retrograde for the last 4 months. So once these retrogrades start to go forward, Mercury in your 10th house, Saturn on your emotional side, because emotionally you've taken a hit over the last couple of months. Once all those planets sort of kind of go direct, along with Jupiter moving into the sign of Leo, giving your Aries planet some help, I think you'll be all right. So everybody out there, just sort of kind of wait until the middle of July. And for you, Mercury's retrograde and it's in your career house. I think there's another job for you that's totally different from what you imagine, Holly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right about that. I have some validations about that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome, man. Call me up sometime, all right?
Okay,
and
thank you.
And tell Mama I said hi.
I will.
All right. That's my girl, Holly, from East Harlem, New York, a longtime viewer of astrology, numerology now. And thanks for calling the show, Holly. Now, if you don't have the opportunity to get in to talk to an astrologer live on TV right now, I'm going to put my number up on the screen. And this is the number you can call to schedule an astrology reading, a numerology reading. And that number is 646-389-1311. That's the quickest way to get in touch with me, to get an astrology, numerology reading, talk astrology, talk numerology. Of course, there's my email address, zstarmannyc@gmail. And we're at Facebook at zstarman. And we're at Twitter at zstarman. Call me up and I'll hook you up. Astrology and numerology information and reading.